This is Jeff Durkin with wearechangect, giving you guys a quick update about a ruling that came down on a case that we've been covering here in Connecticut for a while now, involving the teenager Cassandra C. Now, just as a recap for those of you who haven't heard about this story or not, Cassandra C is a teenager who had cancer, Hodgkin's lymphoma, and didn't want to receive the chemo. And then when she started receiving the rounds of chemo, the DCF got involved, and she ran away from home, and the DCF arrested her and then held her at the Connecticut Children's Medical Center receiving chemo against her will. Now, fast forwarding to today with the ruling that I'll break down in a second here, but going back to the recent news where she had the chemotherapy, she's having the rounds of chemotherapy now, and for now it's in remission. The cancer that she had, Hodgkin's lymphoma, is in remission. But the motion that Cassandra's attorneys brought out today was the ruling to go home, the motion to go home that they requested, because where she could finish the chemo at home instead of in the hospital where she's been confined for the past few months. Since the hearing that took place the last time, we did a video about this where 8-judge panel denied her ability to make a decision on whether to receive chemotherapy or not. They decided that she was a minor below 18 years old, which she is. She's 17. She'll turn 18 this year. But she doesn't have the capacity, the intellectual capacity to make a decision like that. That was the ruling that the judges made last time, which continued to confine her to the Connecticut Children's Medical Center to receive chemotherapy against her will. And also, not just about that, but it also takes away her ability to make decisions on her own. Even though the state determined, the judges determined, that she doesn't have the capacity to make those decisions as a 17-year-old girl. Now today, the motion that was denied by the judge, which was a motion to go home so that she could finish the chemotherapy at home instead of being confined at a hospital, medical center where she is right now. Which was also interesting was the judge also denied her mother and her attorneys, Cassandra's mother and attorney, visitation rights without any explanation at all, which was included in today's motion that the judge overall refused, which was for her to go home. The attorneys wanted the motion to go home, which of course the judge denied. And then the judge added on that the judge denied her mother and attorney's motion for visitation. The judge denied that without an explanation. So that's definitely really interesting on that front. Which is very weird, considering that she doesn't really pose a threat to anybody or anything for that matter. But Cassandra's lawyers came out with a statement saying, quote, "We are disappointed in this ruling, not least of all because it draws a factual conclusion that is directly contradicted by the weight of the evidence. We're conferring with our clients now about next steps, including whether to take another appeal." Now, responding to that, the DCF Commissioner Joette Katz released a statement saying, quote, "The department is looking forward to the day later this month when Cassandra can happily return home after her treatment is completed, and the doctors are confident that she has beaten the cancer. We know how difficult this has been for Cassandra and her family, and while we are very pleased with her response to the treatment, we also know that this has been a traumatic and scary thing through which she has gone through. We want her to complete her treatment so that she can return home, knowing that she has put this completely behind her." Now, Cassandra's public defender in this case saying that, quoting in the article, the Fox CT article that came out about this, saying her hospital treatments only require her to be there for a few days a month, which is the chemotherapy that she has been receiving for the past few months, which has been against her will ever since this case originally started, where she was seeking alternative treatments instead of just chemotherapy, which ended up happening there. where she ended up running away because she didn't want to receive any more chemo, and then eventually the DCF got involved, Department of Children and Families, and arrested her and then confined her to the medical center where she has been for the past few months receiving chemotherapy against her will, and also not allowing any visitation rights by her mother or her attorneys. So this case is very interesting. We did a short video breaking down this case and its implications, not just for Cassandra herself, but also for future cases where this sets a precedent where, regardless, just take out the equation of her being a minor. She had the capacity to look, that she wanted to look for other treatments, for alternative therapies, and not just go straight to chemotherapy. She wanted to have other treatments and look for other alternative treatments that are out there. But the government decided to say that because of this predetermined barometer that if you're below the age of 18, you're a minor and therefore can't think or make your own decisions, the government outweighed the decisions of not only Cassandra, but also her mother that supported her during this ordeal, for lack of a better term, during this case, because they wanted to look for other treatments, and then the government came in and said, we're confining you, you still have to receive chemo, we're going to hold up the ruling, keep the ruling as it is, and deny any motions, which was mostly recent, where the motion to allow Cassandra to return home and finish the chemotherapy at her home instead of in the hospital where she's been confined for the past few months. So it really boils down to people's decisions are being overridden by government. They have the determination, the state, that Cassandra's rules, Cassandra's thinking about these issues, they're all overridden. Regardless of what she thinks, not only Cassandra but her mother, and that the state has overriding power over them, no matter who you are. So this really boils down to choices, not just to make her own choices for what to put into her body, that the government has overridden that. Regardless of what you think of chemotherapy and how it is, people should always have the decision to make choices that benefits them the most, what they think benefits them the most to put into their own bodies. They always have the decision. The government should not be forced into that decision. It should be up to Cassandra and her mother, which the government obviously overridden during this whole time, the past few months with this case, where that the government says, we know it's best, we have to confine Cassandra to receive chemotherapy in the hospital, and by the way, you can't visit, her mother can't visit, or her attorneys can't visit at all. So let us know what you think in the comments section below about this case and the implications that it has overall related to people versus the state, and what decisions people still have over their bodies to make a decision that they want, not what the government has determined or any other outside factors. So check out the other videos about this case. Let us know what you think in the comments below, and stay tuned for updates about this case and all of the other videos that we have. Check out our other videos, and don't forget to subscribe. Again, thanks everybody for watching, and stay tuned for more videos coming soon.